Hey everyone, after the new series I made, The New Testament Unveiled, I've been asked by quite a few people, so where do we go from here? Let's take a look at that today. Shalom everybody, and welcome to Beit Tefillah. Wow, that series, when I put that out 4 weeks ago today, that was similar to this. You know, I was prepared for a gigantic amount of pushback after I released that series, but what I was not prepared for was this massive and overwhelming show of support. I cannot believe all the PMs and all the messages and all the emails I got from people who saw it right away for what it was, or who had believed this way for a long time, or who told me that Elohim was preparing their heart, and when they saw what I presented, they knew it was true because they'd been feeling that way for a long time. So thank you to everyone who contacted me, and it really means a lot. You know, for every negative message I got at least a dozen good ones, and I thought it would have been the other way around. I was not prepared for the amount of support that I got. You can just read the comments to the videos, especially most people left a lot of comments in part 7, the very last one. You know, there were some nasty ones I deleted, but not many. Most people were respectful. And read the comments about how many people just really saw it for what it was. I mean, it's truth, you know. Elohim says over and over and over, I am your Savior, I am your deliverer, there is none else. You either believe him or you don't. I got a lot of hate. I knew I would. You know, you do something like that, of course you're going to. What amazes me is when I see some of the profiles of some of these people who are my harshest critics, is how stunned they would be to know how many people on their friends list have contacted me that, you know, support me and believe what I presented in that series. So when they're slamming me and they're slamming people who feel like me, they have no idea how many people on their friends list they're insulting. And it's pretty sad. And there's a lot of people who contacted me and who told me they know they would be, you know, run through the muck, and they wish to remain anonymous at this time. And I can fully respect that. Of course I can. So I'm not, you know, mentioning any names to anybody. Some people have asked me, and I'm not saying anything. When people want to come forward, they're going to come forward, and they are going to state their beliefs. So many people have already. But there's a lot of people right now who just wish to remain silent, and so I'm going to honor that. I've also talked to a few Torah teachers who contacted me and said they absolutely love the series, and they agree with it too, and some of them are having a little bit of a hard time with it, and you know, that's fine. This was a very hard thing for me to accept, you know. Like I said, I've admitted I wrote books about the Messiah, I've taught about the Messiah, did all kinds of videos I had to pull down about the Messiah in the New Testament. Sure, we learn, and you know, we change our minds, and then, you know, the Father's teaching us, and that's what learning is. It's walking the path. It's not just standing there. I talked to dozens and dozens of people who have been believing this way, who are not Jewish, who, you know, they're not into Kabbalism, and you know, there were so many nasty rumors that were started about me and other people who believe this way, and it's just ridiculous. You know, there's a fine line, there's a narrow path between the religions, between the Abrahamic religions, and we're just supposed to do what Elohim said. We're not supposed to go into any kind of religion, okay? That's not what we're supposed to do at all. You know, I know some people made some videos about my series, and they disagreed with me, which, you know, I expected. And the videos I saw were done very respectfully for the most part, which was great. But I do realize that I insulted many people's idol, and they sure didn't like that. But they're going to have to come away from that idolatry if they ever decide that they want to please Elohim. Most of the videos that I saw in rebuttal to my series were just stating the same things over and over and over again. Nothing new, using the same verses and using the same old misapplications to try and validate a Messiah from the New Testament that isn't borne out anywhere in the Tanakh, even though they think it is. You know, sometimes some of the comments I get in these videos are just so right on the money. And there's one in particular I want to read that somebody left last week. And it's just, it says it all. And I quote, "If we examine the reasons for God's coming wrath and judgment in the Old Testament, it is never because we rejected his son. It is only ever due to idolatry and not keeping his Torah." End quote. That's wonderful and so true. And it's so simple. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. You know, what did the children of Israel do when Elohim freed them from Egypt and brought them into covenant? When they were in the wilderness, they made a golden calf and they used that golden calf to worship Elohim. That's idolatry. Even though they used the golden calf to worship Elohim, it's still idolatry. And today, people run out of their Christian churches and they try to come into covenant, they try to keep the Torah, but they still drag their Messiah idol out with them when they try to come into covenant with Elohim. That's not going to work. I don't know how many times Elohim said, "I am your Savior and there is none else." And still there are so many people that are running around clinging to Yeshua, Yahusha, Yehoshua, or whatever they think his name is. People are running around calling me a false teacher, all the while they are in idolatry and warning others not to listen to me when all I'm doing is trying to tell everybody what Elohim said, that he is our Savior and there is none else. He warned his people to stay out of idolatry, and they are trying to say, "I'm a false teacher," and they're trying to keep their people in idolatry. It's so sad. I've had people say, "Shame on you because you're going to confuse people and you're going to make them agnostics or whatever. You're going to make them lose their faith." So with that kind of logic, are we supposed to mollycoddle people and keep teaching them all this fluffy stuff, whatever they want to believe in, and try to validate their feelings? Or are we supposed to tell them the truth? Let's hear what Elohim said to Ezekiel in Ezekiel 33:9. "But when you have warned the wrong to turn from his way, and he has not turned from his way, he shall die in his crookedness, but you have delivered your being." Nowhere in the book of Ezekiel did Elohim ever give Ezekiel a warning to the effect of something like, "But if you do tell the wrong to turn from their way, and they lose their faith, well, by golly, shame on you." No. We are to tell people the truth no matter what. Well, the purpose of this video is to answer the question, where do we go from here? But that's real simple. It's so easy now. It's so much simpler now. I read this following bit of Torah plenty of times before, and I'm going to read it again as it tells us the whole story. Deuteronomy 30:1-4. "And it shall be, when all these words come upon you, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you, and you shall bring them back to your heart among all the Gentiles where Yahuwah your Elohim drives you, and shall turn back to Yahuwah your Elohim and obey his voice, according to all that I command you today, with all your heart, with all your being, you and your children. Then Yahuwah your Elohim shall turn back your captivity and shall have compassion on you. He shall turn back and gather you from all the peoples where Yahuwah your Elohim has scattered you. If any of you are driven out to the farthest parts under the heavens, from there Yahuwah your Elohim does gather you, and from there he does take you." So it's plain to hear from Elohim that all we have to do is obey his voice, everything he said back on that day, and then he is going to gather us from wherever we have been scattered. So we have to keep his Shabbat, his food laws, his Moedim, his Torah. And you know, I don't see a Messiah mentioned anywhere in there. Do you? Why would there be? Because Elohim says he is our deliverer. He is our redeemer. He is our savior. There is none else. Elohim says he is going to gather us. That's simple. This is like coming into covenant 101, the basics here. He plainly said, "Have no other mighty one before my face." So if you have some kind of New Testament Messiah, well then you've got another mighty one before his face then, haven't you? Yes, sirree, idolatry has always been the downfall of mankind. And it still is. It's just supposed to be Elohim and none else. All of you others still clinging to this Yeshua guy better think long and hard about what Elohim said, because you're not paying attention. We cannot afford to get this wrong. Whatever happened in the past, when you're reading the scriptures, when the people came into idolatry, he divorced them and he scattered them. It's just Elohim and there's none else. You know, I need to thank everyone for all of their well wishes and for their concern, because a lot of people, you know, contacted me and said, hey, where'd you go? You made your series and you left. Well, I was trying to do like one video a week, and I dropped 8 of them in 1 week. Bang. That was a lot of work. And I stayed locked up in my office for 6 weeks to get that done. And there was a lot of stuff that I didn't do because I stayed locked up in my office. And my mom had surgery. My wife and I took off for a week and a half. We had to go visit her and help her out with some stuff. And there was a lot of other stuff that I neglected during that 6 weeks that I had to finish up. So thanks everyone for all your concern, but I just kind of had to take a break, and there was a lot of stuff that I had to get done. But I got so many wonderful questions on the series that I did that my very next video is going to be a Q&A on the series. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be pretty good. There's some excellent questions that a lot of y'all asked, and we're going to be getting to those. So thanks for watching, and a shout out to all of those who are Yisrael and who are scattered worldwide in the dispersion. Everybody be blessed and have a wonderful day.